This is my good friend and colleague, Paul Kirschbaum. I'm Leslie Wooten. It's 10:33. Let's get into it. Today's topic, retaining. Now, this is part of a four-part series, hiring talent. So part one was recruiting. Had a lot of fun on that. Part two is training. Obviously, I just talked way too much on that. So don't skip over that one. Kind of pick up on some of the highlights, but you can hear me talk a whole lot. Sorry if I drowned you out on that one, Paul. But this one's retaining. And then we're going to get into inspiring. So, Paul, yes or no? People are content doing the same job over and over again.
Yes or no? No, but some people are, I guess. I find that highly boring. But
yeah,
I guess the guy that polishes the washers at the local plant doesn't mind, but I would be bored.
Yeah. So for the majority of people, they don't want to do the same job over and over. So quick tangent, not really a tangent, but tangent. And I know you're in the same page as well, but I've got some great friends who are career bartenders. They love their jobs. They provide well for their family. They take amazing vacations and they save for retirement. What do you think it is that creates a work environment that someone like that would stay in for decades? You think
Money.
it's the money?
No, I think it has something to do with it. It's fast cash. Cash in hand is always powerful. But I really think they have to love it. They have to love it. Same thing in the kitchen. You have to love it because it's not an easy job. And you're not only just pouring drinks. You're a psychologist. You're a counselor. You're lending the ear. You have to be a good listener.
Yep. I agree. I love my job, which is why I keep staying in it. And I often encourage people that don't love their job to let's find a new one. Let's work on what we can do. How much of that commitment to a job for decades do you think that comes from the workplace or life at home?
I think it's both. It's a balance between the two. It has to fit your life at home, and so some people just does not, and that's understandable. But some people it does, especially if your wife or your SO husband is maybe a nurse or a practitioner, or has a different shift.
Long hours, long shifts. Yeah,
exactly. So as a bartender, if I have a friend of mine, she's a career bartender. Her husband's a nurse. It's like the best balance because he has to work like 5 days straight or 6 days straight. Sometimes he'll get 3 days off, and she'll do the same thing as bartending. She takes the 2 days off to end the week and adds that one. So it's like it depends on the schedule. It works for them at home, and they both love their job.
Mm-hmm. So I really feel that a lot of that comes from management at the workplace, in the hospitality industry, with the bar manager, whoever it might be, allowing for that, understanding that, because if she's able to make that kind of flexibility with his schedule, there's got to be somebody on the other side of it that is allowing for it. Oh, you don't need Thursday, you do need Friday, not Saturday, but Sunday mornings, or whatever it might be, changing that around. You've got to have a flexible management team that allows somebody to create that work home life balance. So I could argue all day long that it's not just the money, it's what's happening at work, allowing somebody to have that freedom that they need at home.
Yeah.
How many people though don't have this home life that they're working for day after day, that their work life is the one that they need? How much more important is it then to create that happiness at work so that you don't lose people?
It's imperative.
Yeah.
The culture and just the going into work happy, or even coming. I've seen people there's times when I'm in a bad mood. Going to work, it kind of makes me better because I enjoy going to work. Everybody has their bad days. Don't get me wrong. But it's imperative to retain your staff. You need to have a good, if not great, working environment.
Yep. What responsibility does the operator have to make sure that work life is enjoyable?
It's half the job. I think it's
What's
half
the
on
other
the
half?
employer and the other half is the employee.
Sure. I
They have to be
absolutely
flexible too. I think both sides are flexible and understanding and communicate. Most of the stuff is communication. Let's be honest about it. A lot of the hiccups come with not communicating. You told me one thing, or I thought I heard something, and through a third party. Communication is key to this, and an employer needs to take responsibility for that, because they're not machines. We have people get sick. People have kids, and they have school gets. I mean, now with COVID, I mean, it's going to change the industry completely.
Mhm.
People have to be more understanding, because we don't know what's going to happen with going back to school. That's going to throw a wrench into a lot of industries, not just ours. But the employers and the managers that are flexible and try everything they possibly can to come up with a solution, trying is half the battle. They're going to make a bigger impact on their staff, and the staff wants to be loyal and wants to work for them, and will work on their end to be flexible the best way they can possibly can.
Love it. Communication, making sure that you're not only giving out direction, but listening as well. Same topic, but it's going to feel like I'm going to make a big shift. So here's something that I know for a fact you, my friend, and some of our viewers will have an immediate response to. Bear with me, hear me out. I'm trying to go somewhere with this, but participation trophy. Big roll of the eyes. At first, what comes to your head when I see participation trophy? I've heard this rant before. Let's hear it.
Everybody gets a trophy. Nobody gets a trophy. So that's simple. To me, it's why even have them then?
Okay.
Why even have a trophy if everybody's going to get one? Now, I understand the other side of it.
Because they participated. Yeah. They get it because they participated.
But then what's the point? It's like, I mean, I'm thinking sports. I guess that's where my head goes straight to sports. Mm-hmm. You know what they got for participating? Interpersonal communication, being with their friends, having fun, making money. That's what it is. That's your participation. Now,
all right. So let's move it over to the workplace. Let's talk about that quote participation trophy. As funny as that could be, whichever extreme tangent you want to go, just on the term.
I went PC on that one.
Yeah, you did. I've heard it before. Maybe we'll do that on one of the PM sessions. Let's consider the workplace and a participation trophy. What's our goal here? This conversation is about retaining staff. If you're giving out a participation trophy, are you not just acknowledging that they're there? Are you not acknowledging that they showed up? Are you not acknowledging that this was done or this was done that is expected? We didn't say that you were the best at it, but you're here.
Yeah.
Is that not communication? Didn't you just say? Yeah.
That's communication. It is. I mean, it's the simplest form of it. Mm-hmm. But I think where rewards for outstanding should be a bigger trophy. How about that?
Okay, so I completely agree with that. So let's really define that, because this is my, I guess, thought about retaining is the participation trophy, the communication. It doesn't have to be a physical object. In fact, it shouldn't be a physical object or money or anything. It might be something as simple as great job today, or a high five, or public recognition of a job well done. Something that's not just saved for an annual event or a newsworthy achievement. I mean something simple where somebody did what they were expected to do. And you, the manager, recognized it, gave a verbal participation trophy. And that's all I'm talking about here. Not a physical representation of achievement, because that should be for your promotions and your bigger achievements. And I'm talking about this because that kind of involvement, that kind of participation on the manager's side is going to help you so much with retainment of your staff. And let's be honest, how expensive is it to hire new people?
More expensive than people think. They don't put it all into context. People focus on 1 or 2% coming in the back door on their invoices, when it's like a $1 million restaurant that could be what, $300-400 a month. The average, and this is shooting really low, the average employee costs $1,200 to $1,500 to train.
to train.
per month, and the average length is 2 months. So you break that in half, you're still like, focus on your staff, not that 1%. I mean, that's important, but this is bigger.
Yep. Yep. One of my favorite memes or cartoons that I've seen over the years is, the training manager talking to the financial manager, the CFO, and the CFO says, what if we spend all this money on them and then they leave? And the response is, what if we spend no money on them and they
stay?
It is so detrimental to your business if you don't train and then they stay, because if you don't spend time training people, do you know who's going to stay? The people that saw that as a free pass to do whatever they want. And you just announced to your new team, I don't care what you do, good luck. And they're going to do exactly that. Your high achievers who want feedback, who want direction, they're going to go find somebody who's going to give that to them. They're going to be easy to poach by somebody like me, who's going to be like, you look like you want some structure, let's go.
Yeah.
And I'll leave the lazier crowd that doesn't want direction in your establishment to run your business. All we're saying for retainment, once you've gone through that process of training, is to get out there and acknowledge people and what they're doing. It's saying, great job on the numbers. The inventory looks great. Isn't it their job to do inventory? Don't you expect them to have good numbers?
Yeah, but it's also the management's job to recognize and communicate. That's their job. They're supposed to do that.
You're speaking to my heart right now. Absolutely. Yeah. It's absolutely the manager's
job. You're going to yell at me for a
job.
second, like, what would I do?
No, you're toying with me. This is great. I absolutely think it's the manager's job. Yes, there's technical tasks that you're supposed to do. So, let's see. I was in the UK going over some managerial expectations on this topic of giving praise, and basically, without using the term, because I knew it was a fun word for you, without not talking about participation trophy, but going to your staff and saying, great job with this, good job with this. Hey, you made it here on time. High five, and that little bit of encouragement. And I absolutely had a manager pushback, hated it. It's their job, he said. They're supposed to be doing this. I'm not going to praise someone for doing the expected. So,
well, and then my comment back to him would be, that's your job.
Oh my God. Yes. No, I immediately realized that all my,
I'm telling you, you need to do this.
Almost verbatim. Like, in a classroom setting, I try to be fun. I try to do experimental learning, like get you to realize the conclusion the same time as I did. But at some point, I'd be like, how about this? It's my job to tell you what your job is, and your job is to manage them. And part of that is acknowledging the good and the bad. And if you don't want to do your job, I will absolutely find somebody who wants to praise them for doing their job. Are we clear? That was easy.
Crystal.
I found his language and brought it to him. But he didn't want to praise somebody for, I don't care if you want to praise somebody for showing up on time. Maybe that's not it. But when the kitchen's having a tough lunch rush, walk in there and thank them for doing it. Is that not their job?
Yeah, but it's just certain situations, and you just the acknowledgement, because you know how hard these people work.
Yeah.
And it's your job to knock this out, but you still need to be recognized for that because that is going above, you know. You could have done the easiest thing and kind of slowed down the whole thing, but you could tell when somebody, somebody that struggles with closeouts. I'm trying to think of something, or struggles with the menu part of it. When you see them keep trying and trying, you encouraging them it helps them. It's human nature. I think you're right. I don't agree with the trophy.
I knew you wouldn't like. Yeah.
Don't like that part of it. Don't like that analogy. Let's just get rid of that analogy, and we can be back to being friends.
Okay.
All right. But hey, I have a question for you.
Yeah.
This is something I run into a lot. So I don't do as much training as you do, but I do a lot of staff training, servers, kitchen,
Continued education,
management.
if you will.
Yeah, management. Yeah, I'm not teaching them where to put a fork. That's not my
Yep.
job. My
Yep.
job is more of how to work as a team and management, how to deal with different situations, blah blah blah. One thing that I have focused on a little bit, and I want to know what your thoughts are on there. What about generational? Do we train, and retain these our generations differently? How do we communicate? Is that something we should build into this?
Did you read like my thesis paper? Do you know these things? I did a entire
No, no,
presentation
not
to
read.
MCOM, to leadership, that had to do with millennials in the workplace, because we, just the way that it works, we had a lot of our managers that were older, and then new hires that were seemingly from an entirely different generation. And the reward is the same as before, only, and this goes right into retainment. Like you set me up for this. Great. It's perfect. Previous generations, their reward came in a pension or a golden toaster or whatever it might have been after 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years in the same position. That their loyalty itself was worth it because they knew that they would come to the reward at the end. Take that same big reward, however much it was, 10,000, 100,000, 500, whatever it was. Let's pretend to put a price on it. Now look at this new generation. They need the exact same reward in smaller increments. Now they need something at the 1 week mark, the 3 week mark, the 6 month mark, the 1 year mark, where before you might have expected a promotion at the end of 10 years as your big reward. Now that promotion might still come at 10 years, but you need smaller milestones to have the management and the employee to track the progress leading up to the same ultimate milestone. Not a new promotion, that's ridiculous. Not a pay raise, that's ridiculous. But that same big promotion over here is no longer the end of the journey. Now we're noticing milestones along the way, and it's to managers to communicate those milestones along the way, even though the paths are seemingly the exact same.
Yeah, I like that analogy because I mean, not only is milestones, it's communication. They communicate different. Gen Z's breaking into the workplace, coming up. They're going to be taking over from the millennials soon. So everyone does it a different way, and there's different stages of it. It could be communication, it could be milestones, it could be a laundry list of things. And then one of the things I think that people they kind of forget, this is still like your internal customer. Guess what this trickles down to?
Yeah.
This trickles down to your customer. So if you know how to communicate, or at least teach how to communicate to millennials or to Gen X or Gen Z or boomers, without saying okay boomers, then you're going to be able to do the exact same thing to your customer demographics that you're looking to bring in. Or if you're trying to bring in a new demographic, let's say you're trying to bring in the boomers, there's a certain way they like to get the communication. And the same thing with Gen Z and Gen X down across the board. So you're just applying this to your staff is going to give you great insight on how to help build your customer base.
It's changing. New
Oh,
generations
yeah.
coming in, like it or not. And I'm not about to argue with any operator over if it's the right way to go about it or not, or if it's a lazy generation, or if it's more knowledgeable generation. That's not the point at all. The fact is, this is what we have. Here's how we work with it. If you want a successful business in 2020, you've got to have a successful business in 2020. That business that you're running in 1984, that multi-million-dollar facility that you had in 2002, not the same as 2020. Let's talk about this generation, your employees, your new hires, this generation. Here's how you manage them. And it's honestly not that different. Either way, you can't sit in your office and hope that it's going to go well. You've got to get out there and be a manager, talk to them about what their opportunities are, give them the tools and resources to fix it, And okay, maybe praise is the wrong word because somebody's like, oh, I'm just not somebody who praises. But I'm like, you've got to acknowledge when it's happening.
Acknowledge. Yeah.
Maybe you're not a cheerleader. That's fine. But if you're a stick in the mud, I hope you have an entire staff of 30, 40 career driven bartenders that aren't going anywhere because they know what to do, because you're going to have a hard time bringing in new talent and keeping that talent and keeping it there. And why not? What's so hard about walking out and talking to your team? I don't get that.
No, I don't either. I mean, everybody has bad days, but I mean, in general, you can tell when a staff, we walk in a restaurant, we can tell when staff is well oiled and happy. I mean, it's pretty easy to pinpoint that kind of stuff. And, you know, I think we spend more time worrying about numbers and food costs and all this, which all are important. I'm not downgrading, but we don't put the same effort that we put into those numbers that we put into maintaining our staff and our staff relationship with communication.
So let's think about that host or that front desk clerk who's greeting guests as they walk in. They have a bad day. You as a manager, what do you tell them about their bad day in regards to the guests that are walking in the front door?
It doesn't exist.
Yeah,
like we are a sales company. Put on your sales face and let's be happy and get these people in, or put on a smile. I understand we have bad days. If you want to talk about it, let's get it out. But once the game is on, we got to be on top of it. Fact, I've sent people home, but they can't get over it.
I hear managers say that all the time. And then I'm going to point that same concept at the manager. You're getting pressure from corporate about your numbers. You've got emails coming in all day long. You've got all this pressure that's weighing on you, but your doors are open. Your staff is there. I don't care about your bad day because you need to go do this other part of your management. And if you sit in the office and sweat over the emails, you're doing the same thing as that host up front who's on their phone having an argument with their boyfriend while guests are coming in the front door. You're doing the exact same thing to them that you tell them not to do to guests walking in the door. You've got to suck it up. You've got to manage your responsibilities and your team at the same time. And I'm not saying you can't have a bad day. I'm not saying leave it at the door, leave it at the office door, get out on the floor and manage your team.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you on that one. Now, I haven't always practiced that.
No, me neither. No. That's why I got into the training side of it.
Exactly.
A big difference over here telling people what to do it.
We got the easy job.
Definitely not easy. I mean, we get overwhelmed, but I mean, our business is day to day. That guest, what average is 1.5 times visiting per year. So I've got 1.5 times to greet you when you walk in the door. If I ever want to see you again, I've got to make sure that it goes right. So this is about improving retention. And we've gone on and on about, as a manager, you need to go get involved. And that's what you need to do to improve the work-home life balance. But let's be honest, we're going into a lot of details on this, and I hope that's really helpful for any audience that we have who's listening along. But there's a lot of other ways to improve retention at all. So in the short time that we have left, I wanted to cover at least the basics of what some of those other topics are, maybe not the details of work-home life balance, but some other things that you can do to improve retention of your staff in your facility. Paul, your favorite? Butts and seats. Drive revenue to your facility. Guarantee you will improve retention.
Yes.
Why?
They'll make more money. I mean, that's why they come to work. And let's be honest, part of it is to make money. So driving butts in the seats will help you retain your staff because you'll be busy and they will have plenty of work.
So some of the details we cover in some other episodes, we can really get into what we talk about of like expanding beyond your walls and bringing in more revenue. But as far as recruiting, that's something that you consider is what can you do to drive revenue? Another thing that you can do to drive retention, keeping your staff there, is give clear direction on tasks. not just sudden daily task. Oh, you've got time to lean, you've got time to clean. Like, none of that. Like, I want my team to know the week ahead what's expected. Have outlines on what's expected by position, by day, so that they know when I show up to this, here's what I'm supposed to be doing. Have weekly meetings, have quarterly or annual reviews, give feedback. Because if you're somebody who's saying, well, I don't like the participation trophy, I don't like the praise for things expected, you need to have clear direction on the things that are broken, incorrect, and need improvement. And you need to be providing the tools and resources to make those improvements. And I guarantee you that clear direction will also improve your retainment. If you can't do the fun, bubbly cheerleader side of it, you need to be structured and not just mean and Scrooge about it, but you need to say, all right, here's exactly what to do, when it needs to be done, and hold people accountable.
Yes, accountability, attainability, and you get to be able to measure.
Yep.
Measure, have a measurable built into whatever this is, and your plan. Like we always talked about before, I don't care what the timeline is. We all know when it's taking too long, but have a timeline and have a measurable and make it attainable. Don't make it like crazy. Well, you have to sell this much check averages goes to this. No, just make it attainable and have a measurable behind it. And then you'll see people a little bit more, there's more of a little bit of fire in the butt.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you have to have training. I mean, come on, let's be honest. It all starts at training.
I according to this series, it all starts at recruiting and then training, now retaining.
For retaining, it's just training.
So, final question on this part of the series. What should an operator do when they realize that their attrition rate is higher than normal, their normal, or higher than the industry norms?
It's going to be take a good look in the mirror and self-reflective. What are your expectations? What do you want? And what has changed? Mm-hmm. You got to ask some tough questions to yourself. They're not easy to do because some people don't want to hear it, even if it comes out of your own voice. If you have to, bring in a third party to kind of just say, what am I missing? And be honest. Hey, it might be me. Am I doing something wrong? You usually are, but look in the mirror and in our business, Les, our biggest goal is not to tell people to do. It's not. If we told people to do, half the time they won't listen. The other half, they'll blame us if it goes wrong. So it's being a mirror to the customer, saying, get in the talk and kind of like, probably the answer is probably in the back of your head somewhere. It's just finding that answer and then being actionable. Let's fix it.
Maybe you've hired a new manager. Maybe you've passed on responsibility to somebody that's not doing it the same way. And that's snowballing. That's got a cascade effect, and it's really affecting your staff, and they're starting to leave because of it. And you don't even realize that the two things are connected. You've put too much pressure on your management team, and now they're not going out of the office because they stay in there. And so somewhere something's happening that is causing people to leave versus somewhere something's happening that's causing people to stay. And that's a shift we'd love to help you figure out. Hopefully you've heard some tips from this, because yet again, this is a topic I'm super passionate about, and I feel like I can go on and on and on about it. I love my job. I love the type of work that I do. Personally, even these episodes with you is fun for me because I love what I do. And that has a lot to do with who I've worked with and what kind of work-home life balance I've been taught to create and created on my own. And as managers and leaders, I'd strongly encourage you to find a way to help your team, help yourself manage that work-home life balance, make it fun at work, trust what they're doing, allow them to have an outside life, and put in some clear expectations for what they're supposed to be doing when they're at work. I think that's going to help out quite a bit. My ultimate goal in HR through learning development, believe it or not, is to drive profit. There's so many times that I'm, I guess, accused in my position of, oh, you're just trying to have fun and give out reward and extend training forever. I'm like, no, my job is to drive profit. And
Mhm.
I feel like I've been extremely successful in it because I've got an operational mind and heart, and I love it. But through my time, I've realized the value of sharing with people and creating this kind of atmosphere. The end result gets you is driving profit.
Mhm.
And we can have a good time doing it. And I hope that people can hear that and recognize that you can drive profit, not by staring at your emails, but by working through the people that you have in your facility.
I 100% agree. I mean, going from being a boss to a coach and then transitioning to that mentor.
Hmm.
That's your strategic way to keep people engaged. Because like you said at the beginning of this, do people like doing the same thing over and over again? Well, not in the restaurant. No, they don't. They like a little bit of a little bit something different once in a while.
Hmm.
So I
Mixed
think
up.
mix yeah, good mix up. Good. So I think turning to being a mentor or a coach, and you don't have to be a mentor if it's not what you are, but you might
Hmm.
be dang good at coaching. So just not being a boss, I think that's where everybody's like, oh, I'm the boss, that's what's going to happen. Well, I want to know why. The why behind it is huge. And I think that's when you start telling the people about the why, that's when you start becoming a coach.
Hmm.
And then you go a deeper dive and how people, building a career path for that person, then you start becoming a mentor. And these
Hmm.
things are important to help your industry grow, because we talked about the different generations. Well, Gen Z and millennials, they want to be a part of something, and they would want to grow and get better. They don't want to be stuck in the same thing all and over again. They want
Correct.
to grow. And so I
Mhm.
think that's imperative if you want to keep your staff, and not have turnover that's over 110%, which I see
Yeah,
a lot.
this is all about attrition and lowering that attrition rate. This episode is retention. It's part 3 of 4 in the 1033 consulting series of hiring talent. We'd love to hear from you. Leave us some comments, subscribe, fire away what you've heard us talk about that you didn't understand or thought was incorrect. I'm sure we misspoke somewhere along lines, and I'm happy to correct that, or ask questions about something that you'd like some more details on. I know for a fact we talked about some things. You just mentioned mentoring, and my head's like, oh, we need an episode on that. So
Yeah.
there's things that we could continue on and would love your feedback on what that should be. Be sure to follow the channel, show us some love. We'll return it and keep coming back with more strategies and insights to improve your operations. Thank you so much.
Thank you.